This is one of my favourite and most moving passages from Sebald's novel Austerlitz, his greatest novel, taking place in the waiting room of Liverpool Street Station in London, where he begins, that is the narrator Austerlitz, to discover his true, or is it his true, identity. Here it is. I felt, said Austerlitz, like an actor who, upon making his entrance, has completely and irrevocably forgotten not only the lines he knew by heart, but the very part he has so often played. Minutes or even hours may have passed while I stood in that empty space beneath a ceiling, which seemed to float at a vertiginous height, unable to move from the spot, with my face raised to the icy grey light, like moonshine, which came through the windows in a gallery beneath a vaulted roof, and hung above me like a tight meshed net or a piece of thin fraying fabric. Although this light, a profusion of dusty glitter, one might almost say, was very bright near the ceiling, as it sank lower it looked as if it were being absorbed by the walls and the deeper reaches of the room, as if it merely added to the gloom and were running down in black streaks, rather like rainwater running down the smooth trunks of beech trees or over the vast concrete facade of a building. When the blanket of cloud above the city parted for a moment or two, occasional rays of light fell into the waiting room, but they were generally extinguished again halfway down. Other beams of light followed curious trajectories which violated the laws of physics, departing from the rectilinear and twisting in spirals and eddies before being swallowed up by the wavering shadows. From time to time, and just for a split second, I saw huge halls open up, with rows of pillars and colonnades leading far into the distance, with vaults and brickwork arches bearing on their many-storied structures, with flights of stone steps, wooden stairways and ladders, all leading the eye on and on. I saw viaducts and footbridges crossing deep chasms, thronged with tiny figures who looked to me, said Austerlitz, like prisoners in search of some way of escape from their dungeon, and the longer I stared upwards with my head wrenched painfully back, the more I felt as if the room where I stood were expanding, going on for ever and ever in an improbably foreshortened perspective, at the same time turning back into itself in a way possible only in such a deranged universe. That's it. That passage, possibly unnecessary, but I point out the reference at the end, probably to Benjamin's Angel of history, trying to look forward but being wrenched back into the past, and also the hidden reference in the last few lines to the concentration camps, which Sebald felt he could only approach, in his word, circuitously, in a roundabout, indirect fashion. Very haunting passage.